Hello ladies, hope you're doing well. So I just want to do a brief overview of the final exam for you. I have sent this file to your email, so you have it. This is the sample final exam. So you can see here you have 120 minutes, so you have 2 hours. And it will be worth 30 marks. So this is the assessment that has the largest amount of points out of your 100 marks for your total grade. Now, for your final exam, you have to write a short term paper. So most of you just finished and submitted your term papers. So all the requirements, with the exception of formatting, you will have to do for the final exam. So let's read through the instructions together. You are required to write a short term paper of at least, so minimum amount, 350 words with 5 paragraphs on the topic of problems of ADHD children in school lives. So let's talk about this. Word count, minimum 350 words. So you must have at least 350 words. You can have more than that, and you can have as many words as you want. But the minimum amount is 350 words, and you must write 5 paragraphs. So what this means is introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and conclusion. In terms of paragraph structure and the requirements in the paragraphs, it's the same as the term paper. So your introduction needs to start with a hook. You need to have some background information. You need a thesis statement that has the topic, which is ADHD children in school lives. This is our topic. The thesis statement also has to show your focus. In this case, the focus is problems. And it must have 3 main points that are listed in parallel. Body paragraph structure, same as the term paper. You have to start with a topic sentence, then a sentence that elaborates or develops on the topic sentence. You have to introduce your evidence. It has to be paraphrased with the correct APA citation, and then you need a response to the evidence that includes specific examples or any of the response types I went over in class. And then you need a concluding paragraph, a conclusion that starts with the restatement of your thesis statement, a summary of the main ideas from your body paragraphs, and then some type of ending note or final thought for your concluding paragraph. You can review any of the lectures or the handouts if you're unsure about the requirements for any of the paragraphs. You can review the lectures or the handouts or any of your notes that you took during class. Now let's talk a little bit about the topic. So this is similar to what you'll see on the final exam. You'll have a topic. The topic in this case is ADHD children in school lives. So if you don't know what ADHD children or ADHD is, it's attention deficit disorder. So this is a type of mental disorder that children have, that they cannot focus in school especially. So you will have a topic here. Now, if you don't know anything about the topic, like you read this and you don't know anything about the topic, don't worry, because you'll see at the bottom here you have some text. And in one of the texts there will be a definition. So you can see here, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, is a medical disorder affecting several areas of the brain, which results in disruptive behavior, irregular loss of working memory, and reduced organizational abilities. Yeah. So if the point is, if you don't know what the topic is, you don't feel like you know a lot about it, then don't worry, because in one of the texts there will be some type of definition. Yeah. And then you'll have a focus type. Now for this sample final exam, it says problems. Problems is not one of our approved focus types for the term paper. But don't worry about that right now. You can think about a problem as kind of like a negative cause or a negative effect as a problem. For the final exam, it won't be problems. It will be one of the approved focus types. So benefits, advantages, disadvantages, effects, causes. You'll see that for the final exam. Now, further instructions, read the 5 short articles provided below. So you have the text, you have the articles, you have the evidence. So it's your job to read those 5 short articles and choose the evidence that you want to use in your body paragraphs to support what you're trying to say in your thesis statement. You must use information from at least 3 of the articles to support your paper. Yeah. So think about, you have 3 body paragraphs, so each body paragraph should have 1 piece of evidence. You can use 1 quotation if you don't want to paraphrase. You want to put a quotation, that's okay, but it cannot be longer than 20 words. And you must include in-text citations in APA style. So you have to know how to do basic in-text citations for the final exam, because in your body paragraphs you need to include those. Don't need to worry about end of text citations for the final exam. Now, how would I approach this? So this is as much a reading exam as it is a writing exam. So you have 2 hours. I would spend the first 30 minutes just reading through the text. So, you have to read text 1, text 2, text 3, text 4, text 5. So I would go through it 1 time, maybe kind of quickly. The second time, I would read through each of the texts and think about the focus. So we're trying to identify evidence that says what a problem a child might have in school if they have ADHD. Not all of the evidence, not all of the information can be used as evidence. So that is part of what we're assessing on this exam. Can you determine in the text what could be used as strong evidence? Yeah. So for example here, this sentence, if we look at it, factors such as diet, television viewing, and parenting have not been proven to be causes of ADHD. Yeah. So this would not be appropriate evidence. Because it's not talking about a problem that a child would have if they have ADHD in school. Yeah, it's talking about some of the specific causes of this. Whereas if we look at text 2, it is likely that many factors play a role in each case of ADHD. One such factor is brain damage, which makes ADHD sufferers feel different. For example, when brain damage causes a disconnect between 2 parts of the brain, some parts of the brain do not receive alerts to pay attention to visual or sound messages. That is why ADHD victims in this case can feel isolated. Hence, they can have difficulty making friends and find it harder to maintain friendships. In addition, children with ADHD are often emotionally immature. Their classmates are often more developed than them emotionally, making it hard for children with ADHD to relate and connect with children their own age. Some research has shown that children with ADHD, especially those that have emotional outbursts or have aggressive tendencies, have trouble getting along with their peers. So again, what are we looking for? We're looking for specific evidence that proves what type of problem would a child have if they have ADHD specifically in school. So for example here, children with ADHD often have they're emotionally immature, right? It makes it hard for them to relate and connect with children their own age. So this could be something that you could use as evidence. Now, what type of problem is this? Is this a social problem? Is this an academic problem? Is this a family problem? What type of problem is this? Because that's what you want to think about as well in terms of writing your main ideas for your thesis statement. So I would identify this as a social problem, right? It's a very specific social problem that students have in school if they have ADHD. Yeah. Because for the final exam, you want your thesis statement to be quite simple, right? It's not going to be as specific or advanced as what you did for the term paper. So for example, if we think about how to write a thesis statement for our paper, children with ADHD may have different problems in school, such as social, academic, and emotional. I'm not giving you all the answers right now. And emotional problems. Yeah. So this is our sample thesis statement, right? So children with ADHD, right? This is part of our topic. May have different problems in school, such as social, academic, and emotional problems. If you want to have a synonym for problems, perhaps we could say difficulties. Or challenges, right? Something like that. And then if we think about topic sentences for our body paragraph, right? So remember the requirements. Again, you need the topic, you need to show your focus, and you need to have your first main point. So you're not, because it's just 3 body paragraphs, you're not going to have subpoints. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about subpoints. Perhaps the information you put in the topic sentence is a little bit more specific. You might identify, for example, the specific social problem that it states in the text. But I wouldn't worry about that so much for the final exam. Yeah. So for example, one major problem that children with ADHD may face in school includes difficulty with connecting with their peers or with their classmates. One major problem that children with ADHD may face in school includes difficulty with connecting with their classmates, right? That's the specific social problem that's mentioned here in the first text. Yeah. And then we would continue with our body paragraph. We would elaborate on this a little bit, and then you would integrate the evidence, and then include the APA citation. So you'd have to paraphrase this evidence and then respond to it using any of the response types I went over in class for the term paper. Remember that you're not going to paraphrase important or key words. In this case, ADHD is a very specific term, right? It refers to a specific disorder. So don't even bother trying to paraphrase it. Just use the term ADHD. Yeah. Okay, so that for what I suggest for all of you is that you practice. You actually write a term paper using, if you want to use this thesis statement, that's fine. If you want to use this first topic sentence, that's fine. If you want to use this piece of evidence, that's fine. But I suggest writing your own sample.